How's it going, everyone? Got quite a lot to go over in this video. A major PlayStation 5 exclusive will be getting a update here in the next few days. A major update, we'll talk all about that, and a free update at that with new content. CyberPunk 2077 is looking to get its PlayStation 5 physical release, if a retailer is to be believed. We'll talk that, and Capcom seemingly has a major title in development, could potentially be one of the biggest PlayStation 5 titles of 2024, and it might be out in early 24. We'll talk that at the end of this video. But first of all, Gran Turismo 7 is promising a major update on PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4, with Kazunori Yamauchi noting on Twitter a big update is coming next week. And as noted on Push Square, the industry veteran posted his traditional silhouette picture on Twitter, seemingly confirming the upcoming edition of the Lexus LFA, Nissan Skyline GT-R, and 2022 Porsche 911 GT3 RS. And we should potentially also get Dodge Charger, Dodge Challenger Demon, and Tesla Model 3. All of those should be included free as a part of a regular Gran Turismo 7 update. Would be interesting if Gran Turismo 7 hits PlayStation Plus Extra here anytime in the near future. I guess that this is one of those games that, you know, you can't put everything on Plus Extra, and, you know, with Horizon Forbidden West already being added on Plus Extra, do you really want to give away another exclusive? God of War Ragnarok still not on Plus Extra, and obviously we had the release of Spider-Man 2, so you got to keep a couple games not in the subscription service. I think outside of those three, like Last of Us Part 2 and I guess Spider-Man 2018 are some of the major titles that aren't available on Plus Extra. But Gran Turismo 7 I thought was really good. If you like your sim racers, this is a really good one. And readily it goes on sale for like sub $40. It has been holding up in price. I think the notion with GT is like Sony knows that the people that are into Gran Turismo, they're gonna buy the game. Like if you get a PlayStation 5 and you want a racing game, you're gonna get Gran Turismo 7 and you're probably gonna buy it outright. You can definitely have a high attachment rate with a game like this. And Gran Turismo is one of those game franchises that I feel like clicks with a more casual audience as well. So I kind of understand why they don't have it on Plus Extra, but nonetheless, hopefully come Black Friday, I don't know, could we see a $20 price tag for GT7? Is that asking too much? I mean, the game's been out for what, 20 months at this point? I feel like a $20 price point for the PS5 version of GT7 isn't that tall of an ask. Maybe we'll just get 30 on PS5, 20 on PS4. That is probably more likely, but, you know, off chance we see it for 2025, I would say that would be a fantastic pickup. Moving on from that, CyberPunk 2077, the game that has had quite the turnaround. I can't say it's the greatest turnaround of all time. There's been a lot of debate as far as that's concerned when we see Cyberpunk 2077's massive success. A little game called Final Fantasy XIV exists, and I don't think any game is ever going to eclipse that game's turnaround just based on the fact that it's one of the most popular, if not the most popular MMO on the market today, and from where it was. But nonetheless, what has happened with CDPR and Cyberpunk 2077 has been remarkable. You can say that the game should have been at a much better state in 2020, and it shouldn't have been in beta testing for 3 years, but we'll take what we can get. Given that at one point in the late portion of 2020 when Cyberpunk 2077 came out, people were calling it the worst video game of all time. That is legitimately something people said, which obviously, even from the launch of this game, guys, Rogue Warrior exists. Like, Cyberpunk 2077 was never the worst game of all time, even with the performance on the PS4 and Xbox One. Like, Rogue Warrior exists. It looks like Cyberpunk 2077 is potentially getting a brand new physical copy release on November the 30th. That is according to UK retailer Cool Shop. CDPR will release a physical version of Cyberpunk 2077 on November 30th, with the game now being available to pre-order. Now, this is interesting, guys. I doubt that this is going to be the complete edition with Phantom Liberty. I feel like if they really wanted to, they could release Cyberpunk 2077 with Phantom Liberty, charge $60 for it, and nobody would bat an eye. In fact, I think a lot of people would pick it up. Rather, I think it does make a lot of sense. Hey, they just put out Phantom Liberty. Why would you want to release the complete edition just a couple months later? No, you should wait probably 6-7 months and then get another wave of attention towards the game, because people are going to be like, hey, I can now get Cyberpunk 2077 with Phantom Liberty in a complete edition. Ideally, all the content is on disc, maybe 2 discs, whatever they need to do to get it all in that physical copy and have it all on disc. And I think that'll generate a lot of goodwill, and that's what they need to do with CDPR. Not as necessary now because the goodwill for Cyberpunk 2077 has kind of been revitalized, but why not keep the momentum rolling, man? You have a lot of positive buzz. Phantom Liberty was received incredibly well. Cyberpunk 2077 2.0 was received incredibly well. You know how you parlay that? come spring, summer of next year, you do a complete edition release, you put all the content on disc, maybe price it a little competitively, I don't know, $49.99, I think people would be all over that. And not only that, I think now you release a physical copy of that game, people are gonna be like, hey, I can get the whole experience all on disc, a little bit cheaper, let me go check it out. I think that will introduce a new audience to that game entirely, and you could just, you know, really put the bow on Cyberpunk 2077 with the release of the complete edition and really end the saga of this game's development on a positive note, because it's been quite the tumultuous, quite the turmoil that's been attached to the game's development, but at this point I think it's received incredibly well, which is really nice to see. I knew from the very beginning, first of all, I didn't think the game was as bad as people said. I kind of had tempered expectations given the game was delayed into Oblivion and beyond, but even then I was just like, okay, people are very disappointed. They're speaking a lot of hysteria with Cyberpunk, but I had a feeling that the game was going to continue to be worked on and made better by CDPR because they've invested so much into the IP. You can't just drop it. You can't just be like, all right, I'm going to take the L here. Look at how long the game has been in development. Look at how much emphasis they put into this world and crafting this world. You can't just sleep on it and just throw it to the wayside after, what, 9-10 years of development time attached to it from the very infrastructure of the game. Like, you need to keep it going, and I'm happy that, you know, it does have this positive vibe to it now. We are going to be getting a sequel in probably the year 2077, but yeah, a lot of good stuff, and what I would expect is that this release on November 30th, I would probably think that it's just going to be the standard edition game, and you won't get Phantom Liberty with it. But hey, I would love to be proven wrong, but I don't think it's the time to do a complete edition because you can reignite more interest in the game after this wave of interest does dissipate a little bit. Lastly, I do want to note that Capcom has reconfirmed that they still have an unannounced title that'll sell millions, and it will be coming by March of 2024. Now, this can only be like one game, and that's Monster Hunter World 2, unless they just out of nowhere announce a new Resident Evil and be like, alright, it's coming out in March, and I don't think they're doing that. What I think is going on is I believe there's an anniversary for Monster Hunter coming up next year, and to coincide with that, you do Monster Hunter World 2, the game is going to crush it, it'll sell millions, it'll do incredibly well, you do a cross-platform release right out the gate. The PC release was delayed with Monster Hunter World, but that game did incredibly well on all platforms, but it did really well on PC as well, which it was the first foray of Monster Hunter onto PC. But Monster Hunter as an IP is another one of those Capcom IPs that over here stateside, man, it has just become a colossal juggernaut in comparison to what it was a decade and a half ago. Remember when, you know, Monster Hunter was cool and all, but we get Monster Hunter Freedom, we get Freedom Unite, and that was a nice little title to have on PSP. Now it's a legitimate juggernaut of a gaming IP that Capcom can really lean on. Obviously, it's a far more vast and impressive game, and there's a lot more resources attached to it, but the IP is the IP, and the gameplay loop is the gameplay loop. And with Monster Hunter World, they have a juggernaut that they can do a sequel to, and World 2 would instantly become one of the most anticipated games of 2024. And you just look at Capcom as a whole. We talk about goodwill. Look at where Capcom was a half decade ago, or a little bit more than that, 7-8 years ago, let's say. Look at where Capcom was, and now you have Devil May Cry revitalized with DMC5. You have Resident Evil crushing it. You have Street Fighter 6 being one of, if not the best received Street Fighter game of all time. You have Monster Hunter crushing it. Mega Man, they can do more with, guys. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like, I'm kind of sick and tired of these collections. Look, I love that we got the Battle Network Legacy Collection, but where is a damn new Mega Man game? That's the one thing I think Capcom can do more with. Like, I'm so down bad that I play X-Dive offline, and you know what? It's kind of decent. It's kind of decent, but I'm so down bad and I need a new Mega Man game, whether that be an X9, whether that be a Battle Network 7, whether that be a Star Force 4, which, my god, they're gonna do a Star Force collection before we get a new Mega Man game, aren't they? Whether that be they decide to dig up Mega Man Legends 3 from the depths of hell, just give me a new Mega Man game, Capcom, and I'll be rolling. But yeah, they're doing great work, and I imagine the game that'll sell millions by March of 2024 is Monster Hunter World 2. Obviously, they have some new IPs. Exoprimal didn't click. Pragmata seems to be kind of in dev hell. We'll see what goes on with that, but for the most part, like, their batting average has been pretty killer, especially with their IPs that they can lean on that have a lot of history attached to them. But that'll do it for me. Again, Gran Turismo 7 getting a major free update sometime later this week. Cyberpunk 2077 looking to be getting a physical release, and Capcom potentially has a huge game. I would garner to think it will be Monster Hunter World 2. That'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.